The boutique was buzzing with perfume and pride, the kind of place where every dress cost more than my monthly rent. I didn't belong there, and everyone knew it. "Are you sure you can afford that?" The saleswoman's tone was sugar-coated poison. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. I clutched the faded strap of my thrift store purse. "Just browsing." Behind her, two girls about my age, both polished, both perfect, snickered. One of them whispered loudly enough for me to hear, "She's probably here for the free air conditioning." They laughed. My cheeks burned, but I didn't move. Because that dress, the emerald green one displayed on the mannequin, wasn't just fabric to me. It was a promise. A reminder that dreams could still fit me, even if nothing else did. It had been 6 months since I'd lost my job at the cafe. 6 months since I'd packed up my tiny apartment and moved into my aunt's spare room with a single suitcase and a sketchbook full of designs no one cared about. Back then, my world was stitched together with hope and humiliation. I wanted to be a designer, to create something beautiful out of all the ugly things life had handed me. But the fashion world didn't want dreamers from small towns. It wanted last names, connections, and money, the 3 things I didn't have. Still, I kept trying. And now, standing in that boutique surrounded by the scent of wealth and judgment, I promised myself something quietly. One day, I won't just wear these dresses. I'll create them. The laughter from the girls echoed again. One of them tilted her head. "You know, that green dress would actually look cute on you, if you could afford it." I smiled faintly, my hands trembling as I turned toward them. "I'll remember that," I said softly. Then I walked out, not because I was defeated, but because I finally understood what I was fighting for. Outside, the city was loud and merciless. Rain began to fall, thin at first, then heavy. I didn't run. I let it soak through my jacket, my hair, everything. Because in that rain, something inside me hardened. I wasn't going to beg for a place in their world. I was going to build my own. And they would see me again, not as the girl in the second-hand dress, but as the woman they'd have to applaud from the front row. That night, I sat cross-legged on my aunt's creaky bed, scissors and fabric scraps spread across the quilt. The hum of the ceiling fan was the only sound in the room. In front of me lay a second-hand dress, plain beige, slightly torn at the hem, bought for $6.50 from the thrift store on 8th Street. Most people would have seen a discarded mistake. I saw potential. I unstitched the seams carefully, tracing each line like a roadmap of where I wanted my life to go. My aunt, peeking through the doorway, sighed. "Maya, it's midnight. You should sleep." "I will," I said without looking up, "once it becomes something worth wearing." Every night after that, I came home from my day job at the dry cleaners, washed my hands raw from the chemicals, and sat down to sew. The room smelled like detergent and dreams. Thread by thread, the beige turned to beauty, gold embroidery along the neckline, soft pleats blooming at the waist, recycled lace stitched by hand. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine. By the time I finished, the sun was rising. I stood in front of the cracked mirror and slipped it on. It fit like the future had been waiting for me. 2 weeks later, the annual city charity gala was announced, an open invitation event where the city's top designers showcased upcoming talent. My aunt pushed the flyer across the table. "You should go. Wear your dress." I laughed bitterly. "They won't even let me in, Aunt Rosa. That crowd eats people like me for breakfast." She tapped the flyer again. "Then feed them something they won't forget." So I did. The night of the gala, I walked to the venue, couldn't afford a cab, carrying a folded invitation a friend from the cleaners had given me. It was supposed to be for her client, but he had better plans. Lucky for me. When I reached the entrance, I froze. Cameras flashed. Laughter echoed. Women stepped out of limousines draped in designer gowns that could pay a year's rent. I felt invisible. Until one of the photographers glanced at me and said, "You here for staff check-in?" I swallowed hard. "No. I'm attending." He raised an eyebrow. "Bold of you." Inside, chandeliers sparkled overhead. People moved like perfume and confidence. And me? I stood near the corner, clutching my purse, pretending I belonged. But then, a woman in a black suit, clearly someone important, stopped mid-stride and stared. "Excuse me," she said. "Who designed that dress?" My breath caught. "I did." She smiled, eyes lighting up with genuine surprise. "It's stunning. Hand-stitched." "Yes, ma'am." She nodded approvingly. "I'm Lillian Vega, director at the New Wave Fashion Council. I'd love to talk after the show." Before I could even process that, someone behind me whispered, "Isn't that the girl from the boutique? The one in the thrift store dress?" I turned. The same two women, the ones who had laughed. But now, their smiles had faltered. And for the first time, I didn't look away. I smiled back, calm, steady, unshaken. Because this time, I wasn't standing under their light. I was the light. The runway glowed like liquid gold, reflecting every flash of camera light. The energy inside the hall was electric. Every designer, every critic, every pair of eyes searching for the next big name. I wasn't supposed to be there. I knew that. But fate has a strange sense of humor. It always puts you where you're meant to be, even if you sneak in through the side door. I stood near the back wall, clutching a plastic cup of water while models in gowns worth more than my entire life floated past. Every fabric shimmered, sequins, silk, velvet, perfection made tangible. But none of them looked as alive as I felt. Lillian Vega, the council director I'd met earlier, waved at me from across the room. "Stay close, Maya," she said with a smirk. "I might need you tonight." Before I could ask why, the show began. One by one, models walked the runway in pieces from famous designers. Each one earned polite applause, the kind that fills a room but never a heart. Then, chaos. Backstage, a murmur turned into panic. A designer's model had spilled red wine all over her gown seconds before her walk. The event coordinator rushed past me, headset blaring. "We can't delay. Someone get a replacement outfit, anything elegant." And then, Lillian's eyes found me. "You," she said, pointing directly at me. "What size is that dress?" I froze. Mine." "Yes, yours," she snapped. "You said you designed it, right? Get up there. Now." My heart slammed against my ribs. "Wait. I can't, I'm not." But she was already pulling me toward the stage. "You wanted a chance. This is it." Before I could think, the backstage crew surrounded me, adjusting the straps, dusting off the hem, fixing my hair. Someone handed me a pair of heels 2 sizes too big. "Walk straight, chin up, don't trip," a makeup artist said with a wink. Then the curtain parted. The music changed, a slow, haunting rhythm. The announcer's voice echoed through the hall. Presenting an unplanned but extraordinary addition, a new designer, Maya Reed. The spotlight hit me like lightning. For a split second, everything stopped. All the noise, all the fear, all the memories of laughter and humiliation, gone. Then I stepped forward. Each step felt like defiance stitched into silk. Every heartbeat echoed the nights I spent sewing until my fingers bled. The audience leaned forward. Cameras flashed. And as I reached the end of the runway, I turned, not just to show the dress, but to show them. Among the crowd, I saw them, the boutique girls. Their mouths hung open. For the first time, they weren't laughing. When I finished my walk, the applause started small, hesitant, unsure, then it grew, wave after wave until the entire hall was standing. Lillian met me backstage, eyes shining. "That," she said, "was the most authentic moment of the night. Be at my office tomorrow. We have work to do." My hands were trembling. "You mean?" She smiled. "Welcome to fashion, Maya. Real fashion." I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I just laughed. The kind of laugh that comes from surviving something that should have broken you. Because tonight, I wasn't the girl in the second-hand dress. I was the woman who owned the spotlight. Success doesn't arrive quietly. It crashes through your door wearing heels and expectations. Within 3 months of that runway night, everything changed. I was no longer the girl from the cleaners. I was Maya Reed, the discovery of the season. Fashion blogs called my debut raw, emotional, defiant. Lillian Vega became my mentor, guiding me through chaos I never knew existed. Interviews, sponsorships, photo shoots, late-night fittings that ended at sunrise. But behind the glamour came the grind. Every morning began with coffee and exhaustion. Every night ended with a needle between my fingers and a deadline that didn't care how tired I was. People wanted more. More designs, more drama, more of me. And I gave it to them. Because I remembered every laugh, every whisper, every insult from that boutique. I wasn't chasing fame. I was chasing proof. Then, one afternoon, I got the call that would test everything. Maya, Vogue wants to feature you, Lillian said, excitement in her voice. But they're doing a special shoot, full circle, from ordinary to iconic. They want authenticity, a place from your past. Where did this journey begin? I froze. There was only one place that fit that description, the boutique. The same boutique where I had once been humiliated. My throat tightened. Are you sure? Lillian laughed. What better backdrop than the place that told you no? We'll rent it for a day. You'll be in control this time. I didn't sleep that night. When we arrived, the store was exactly as I remembered. The same chandeliers, the same perfume in the air, even the same saleswoman. Her expression shifted from confusion to disbelief when she saw me. Am Maya Reed? She stammered. I smiled, calm but sharp. We're shooting a cover here. I'll need the back area cleared, please. Her cheeks flushed. Of course. Anything you need. As the crew set up lights, cameras, and racks of gowns, one of the models whispered, "This place looks so old-fashioned." I chuckled softly. It used to feel like the whole world to me. The photographer called out, "All right, Maya, let's start. Take the center floor." I stood in the same spot where they had once mocked me. The flash went off, once, twice, again. Every shot captured more than fabric or fashion. It captured a woman who had rebuilt herself thread by thread. Halfway through, I noticed two familiar faces peeking through the glass doors, the boutique girls. They didn't laugh this time. They didn't even move. They just stood there, watching as the cameras flashed around me, realizing exactly who I had become. When the shoot ended, the saleswoman approached, voice trembling. I never apologized for how we treated you. I nodded slowly. You don't need to. You already gave me everything I needed. A reason. She blinked. A reason. To never be like you. And with that, I walked out, this time, under the same chandeliers but on my own terms. That issue of Vogue broke records. The headline read, "From Secondhand to Spotlight, the Rise of Maya Reed." The world finally knew my name. But more importantly, so did the people who once laughed at it. The night of the Global Fashion Awards arrived like a dream I'd been rehearsing for years. Flashbulbs burst like fireworks outside the Grand Aurora Hall. Reporters shouted my name, the same one that used to be whispered with pity in a thrift store. Inside, chandeliers hung like galaxies. The air shimmered with perfume, money, and ambition. My gold gown, one I'd designed myself, glowed under the light, every stitch a memory of where I came from. When my category was announced, Breakthrough Designer of the Year, my heart pounded so loud it drowned out the applause. And the winner is... A pause. Maya Reed, for her Secondhand to Soul collection. For a moment, I didn't move. My body refused to believe what my ears had heard. Then the crowd stood, hundreds of people clapping, cheering, flashing cameras. The same kind of sound that used to belong to someone else. Now, it belonged to me. As I walked to the stage, I caught a glimpse of something that almost stopped me mid-step. My sister, Emma. She was sitting near the back, her face pale under the golden light. We hadn't spoken in 3 years. She was the first person who ever called me worthless. The one who said, "You'll never be anyone, Maya. Stop wasting your time on scraps." And there she was, watching me receive an award for turning scraps into art. When I took the mic, the room fell silent. I used to sew by hand in a room with no air conditioning. I began, my voice steady. Every night, I stitched not just fabric, but the parts of myself I thought were broken. People laughed. Some called me unrealistic. Some called me nothing at all. My eyes found hers. I didn't need to name her. She knew. But here's the truth, I continued. Worth isn't given, it's built. Thread by thread. Dream by dream. And if you've ever been told you're not enough, don't prove them wrong. Replace them. Applause roared through the hall, not polite, not forced, the kind that rises from the heart. Tears burned my eyes, but I didn't cry. Not here. Not tonight. After the ceremony, as I walked out into the cold night air, I heard footsteps behind me. Maya! I turned. Emma stood there, clutching her purse, looking smaller than I remembered. Her voice shook. I saw your speech. You were incredible. I smiled softly. Thank you. She hesitated. I was wrong about you. I tilted my head. You weren't wrong. You just couldn't see what I saw yet. Silence. Then she whispered, I'm proud of you. For the first time, I believed her. As she turned to leave, she glanced back one last time. Where are you staying now? She asked. I couldn't help but grin. You know that apartment complex you used to mock me for wanting? The one you said I could never afford. She blinked. Yeah. I bought it. Her mouth opened, but no words came. I smiled. Good night, Emma. That night, I stood on my balcony overlooking the city, lights glittering like sequins in the sky. The same city that once laughed at me now wore my designs. And the same people who dismissed me now quoted my name. But I didn't feel revenge. I felt peace. Because the best kind of victory isn't when they fall, it's when you rise so high they can only look up. I closed my eyes, the wind carrying the scent of rain and new beginnings. And somewhere in that soft silence, I whispered, they laughed at my second-hand dress. But tonight, I walked the runway of my own life.